Rain pounded the windows of the Bluebird Cafe, but inside, one woman's world was breaking apart. Serene had dressed in hope, a red dress, a smile carefully rehearsed. Instead, she heard the cruel words that cut deeper than thunder. I didn't know you were actually handicapped. Across the room, a father and his little girl watched in silence. Then, the father's hands moved. Gentle, certain, in the language Serene thought she was alone in. You deserve better. Serene sat at her table watching the clock. 45 minutes had slipped by, each one filled with the hope that maybe traffic had delayed him, maybe nerves had slowed him. She smoothed her red dress, the one she had saved for a special night, trying to believe this evening could still turn out differently. Then Brandon finally arrived. His smile was brief, distracted, his phone never far from his hand. At first, Serene tried to ignore it. She asked questions, spoke of her work as a nurse, even joked about the rain outside. But his eyes flicked to her ears, catching the glint of her hearing aids. His expression hardened. Wait, are you deaf? The words were sharp, heavy. When she nodded, calmly explaining her moderate hearing loss, he sneered. I thought you meant difficulties. Not this. I didn't know you were actually handicapped. The cafe grew quiet. Chairs scraped, forks paused mid-air. Serene's hand tightened around her glass as her heart dropped. She spoke softly, steady despite the tremor in her chest. My hearing loss doesn't define me. I graduated with honors. I speak 3 languages. I'm a pediatric nurse. Brandon scoffed. No offense, but I have standards. Dating someone who can't even hear properly? My friends would laugh forever. He stood, chair screeching, and walked out, leaving the words disabled and waste of time echoing behind him. At the corner booth, Wesley's jaw clenched. His daughter Chloe tugged his sleeve, her small hands shaping worried signs. Daddy, why is that man mean to the pretty lady? Wesley's chest ached. He signed back slowly. Some people don't understand. Some people are unkind. But even as he tried to shield his daughter, he felt his body rise. Not to confront Brandon, he was already gone, but to stand before Serene, whose dignity was trembling yet unbroken. His hands began to move, words without sound, a promise of recognition. The silence that followed Brandon's exit felt heavier than the storm outside. Serene sat frozen, her fingers trembling on the tablecloth. Every eye in the cafe seemed to press on her, yet she refused to bow her head. Then she noticed the stranger, tall, steady, standing directly before her. His eyes held no pity, only a quiet strength. His hands shaped words in the air, deliberate and graceful. You deserve better. Serene's breath caught. He was signing. Not mockery, not hesitation. Real signing. Fluent and kind. For a moment she could only stare, tears threatening to spill. Someone had spoken her language when she most needed it. The man lowered himself into the seat across from her, still cautious, as if waiting for her permission. Serene gave a small nod. Beside him appeared a little girl, clutching a coloring book to her chest. Her hearing aids glimmered in the light. This is my daughter, Chloe, the man said aloud while signing. I'm Wesley. I'm sorry you had to hear those words. Some people reveal themselves quickly. Tonight, he did you a favor. Chloe tilted her head, her hands moving shyly. Hi, you're pretty. That man was mean. Daddy says mean people are just scared. Serene's lips curved, the first true smile of the night. She signed back, her movements gentle. Thank you, sweetie. You're pretty too. And I love your rainbow shirt. Chloe's face brightened instantly. It's a dinosaur. Do you know the sign for dinosaur? She wiggled her small hands in the air, demonstrating. Wesley watched the two of them, warmth spreading through his chest. It had been so long since he'd seen Chloe connect so quickly with someone new. Memories of Angela, his late wife, stirred within him. She had wanted their daughter to feel perfect exactly as she was. Now here was this woman, laughing with Chloe as though they had always belonged in each other's world. Serene looked back to Wesley. "You sign beautifully. How long have you been learning?" 3 years, he replied. "Since Chloe's diagnosis." At first it felt impossible. The doctors spoke of progressive hearing loss and I thought our world was ending. But then I realized it wasn't an ending, just a different beginning. Her eyes softened. "Most people don't see it that way. My ex certainly didn't. He called me complicated, said my hearing loss made life too hard." Wesley shook his head. "Relationships are never simple, but that doesn't make you less." Chloe leaned in suddenly, whispering through her signs. "Can I tell you a secret? Sometimes when it's too noisy, I turn my hearing aids off. Then Daddy and I talk with our hands and it feels like a magic language. Our secret superpower." Serene's heart squeezed. She signed back. "I know exactly what you mean. When I was in nursing school, I thought losing my hearing would end my career. But now I work with children who are scared. When they see my hearing aids, when I show them signs, they feel braver. Different can be beautiful." Chloe's hands moved excitedly. "You help sick kids? That's like being a superhero." Serene laughed, a warm sound that lit her face. Wesley found himself captivated by it, by the way her joy replaced the shadows Brandon had left behind. As the conversation flowed, Serene admitted softly, "I almost didn't come tonight. It was my first date in 2 years. I spent hours preparing, hoping for something different. But when he arrived, I kept making excuses for him. I'm good at that." Wesley reached across the table, palm open, an offer without pressure. "We all do that. We accept less than we deserve because we fear being alone. But worse than loneliness is being with someone who makes you feel alone." For a moment she stared at his hand. Then slowly, she placed hers over his. Her fingers were warm, steady now. Chloe, watching them with wide eyes, signed eagerly, "Daddy, are you making a friend?" Wesley smiled at Serene. "I hope so." The cafe manager appeared then, offering them their meals free of charge. She spoke directly to Serene, her kindness another balm to the evening's wound. Serene squeezed Wesley's hand. "Thank you for standing up for me." "I had to," he replied simply. "Chloe is watching. She's learning how people should treat each other." He paused, his eyes lingering on Serene's face. "Besides, anyone who can't see how extraordinary you are must be blind." Serene laughed again, and Chloe clapped her hands in delight, the storm outside fading into something softer. For the first time in years, Serene felt she might not be alone after all. Dinner arrived at their table, steaming plates offered with a smile by the cafe manager who had witnessed everything. Serene's meal was a gift from the house, a gesture that felt like quiet justice. She thanked the woman and turned back to Wesley and Chloe, still unsure how this night had changed so suddenly. Chloe scooted closer, settling beside Serene with her coloring book spread wide. Her small fingers pointed eagerly. "This one is a butterfly. Do you know the sign?" she asked. Serene demonstrated, shaping her hands with practiced grace. Chloe imitated, giggling when her attempt was slightly clumsy. Wesley watched with a tenderness he didn't try to hide. For so long, Chloe had been cautious with strangers, hesitant since Angela's passing. Yet here she was, lighting up, leaning in, trusting. Serene seemed to carry a gentleness that drew the little girl out. Serene glanced up. "She's remarkable. Confident, funny, curious. You've raised her beautifully." A shadow crossed Wesley's face, though his voice remained steady. "I do my best. Her mom, Angela, passed 2 years ago. Drunk driver. Early morning. Chloe was 3. He paused, eyes softening at the memory. Angela was studying to become a sign language interpreter. She wanted Chloe to grow up knowing she was perfect exactly as she is. Serene's chest ached. "She sounds wonderful." She was. Wesley smiled faintly. and she would have destroyed that man with words tonight. She had a gift for tearing down ignorance. Chloe, listening intently, signed with earnestness. Daddy tells me Mommy is an angel now. She watches us. Serene reached out, brushing Chloe's small hand with her own. Then she must be proud of you. Both of you. For the first time since Brandon's cruel words, Serene felt something shift. Not just comfort, but connection. A thread weaving between her pain and Wesley's loss, between Chloe's innocence and her own quiet resilience. As they ate, conversation flowed with surprising ease. Chloe told stories about school, proudly sharing that her classmates were learning signs so they could talk to her. Last week, Wesley said, smiling, her whole class signed "Happy Birthday" during assembly. 22 first graders, all in unison. I may have cried extensively. Daddy cried so much, Chloe added with childlike honesty. The principal thought he was sick. Serene laughed, a sound that felt freer now. She shared her own stories. The boy with cochlear implants who had trembled in fear until she showed him her hearing aids. The teenage girl who had thought life was over after losing hearing until Serene introduced her to deaf dancers and athletes. Wesley leaned back, watching her with admiration. You've turned what others see as limitation into a gift for others. Her smile faltered slightly. That's why I put it in my dating profile. I wanted to be upfront to avoid nights like this one. But I guess some people only see what they want to see. Wesley's expression hardened. His loss. His complete, catastrophic loss. Chloe clapped her hands. Yes, his loss. The three of them dissolved into laughter, and the heaviness of earlier seemed to lift. By the time dessert plates were cleared, Chloe had climbed onto the seat beside Serene, showing her every page of her coloring book. Wesley leaned closer, lowering his voice. She doesn't usually warm up like this, not since her mom. Serene's eyes softened. Maybe she recognizes something familiar. We're part of the same tribe, she and I. The tribe of beautiful silence. The words lingered between them, profound and delicate. Wesley had never thought of it that way, but looking at Chloe's radiant smile as she signed animatedly with Serene, he understood. Eventually, Chloe's sign slowed, her eyelids heavy. Wesley glanced at the clock. It's past bedtime. Serene stood as well, smoothing her dress. Thank you for reminding me not everyone is like him. Wesley hesitated, then pulled out his phone. Chloe and I have breakfast every Saturday morning at Magnolia Pancake House, 9 o'clock sharp. Best chocolate chip pancakes in Burlington. Would you like to join us? Serene froze, surprised by the sudden warmth in her chest. Before she could answer, Chloe tugged her hand sleepily. Please come. I want to show you my butterfly book. And Daddy makes the worst jokes, but maybe you'll laugh. Wesley rolled his eyes, grinning. Thanks, kid. Serene's laugh was quiet, but real. I do love chocolate chip pancakes, she signed. Then, with a spark of courage, she added, 9 o'clock. Wesley's relief was visible. He saved her number, his smile restrained, but undeniable. Outside, the rain had softened to mist. Wesley helped Chloe into her small rain jacket, carefully checking her hearing aids. Serene watched, her heart tightening at the practiced tenderness of his touch. At the door, she turned to him once more. Thank you for reminding me I deserve better. You don't need reminding, Wesley replied gently. You just needed someone else to see what was already true. They parted in the parking lot, their cars pulling away in different directions. Yet for Serene, the night no longer felt like an ending. It felt like the first page of something new. Saturday morning dawned gray and drizzly, but inside Magnolia Pancake House the world glowed warm and golden. Chloe insisted they arrive early, tugging Wesley by the hand until they secured their favorite table by the wide front window. Her butterfly book was open before her, every page marked with sticky notes. She practiced the sign she wanted to show Serene, her excitement bubbling over. At exactly 9 o'clock, The door chimed. Serene entered, her hair tied back in a simple ponytail, jeans and a soft blue sweater replacing the red dress of the night before. She carried an umbrella still dripping with rain, but when she spotted Wesley and Chloe, her face lit into a smile that outshone the gray skies. Chloe bounced in her seat, signing rapidly. "You came." Serene slid into the booth across from them, answering with a grin. "I promised, didn't I?" Breakfast unfolded with the ease of old friends. Chloe proudly demonstrated each butterfly sign while Serene gently corrected and praised her. Wesley watched the two of them, his coffee forgotten. For months, his mornings had been steady but quiet, defined by routine. Yet today, laughter curled in the air like sunlight breaking through clouds. "So," Serene said, tilting her head, "what's the story about spaghetti on fire?" Wesley groaned as Chloe burst into giggles. "Don't encourage her," he warned. But Chloe signed enthusiastically. "Daddy tried to cook spaghetti and it burned." "Spaghetti doesn't burn," Serene teased. "It boils." "Tell that to my smoke alarm," Wesley muttered, though his lips curved into a smile. They lingered after breakfast, talking about childhood pets, favorite movies, and Chloe's latest school adventures. When Wesley paid the bill, Chloe leaned close to Serene and signed with all the seriousness a 6-year-old could muster. "Daddy hasn't smiled this much since Mommy went to heaven. I think you make him happy." Serene felt her throat tighten. She touched Chloe's hand gently. "He makes me happy too." The little girl nodded decisively. "Good. Then you should keep having breakfast with us." One breakfast became 2, then 3. Within weeks, it became a tradition. Saturdays were no longer simply pancake mornings, they were family mornings. Serene joined them at Wednesday dinners as well, sitting at Wesley's kitchen table while Chloe proudly showed her schoolwork. Serene taught Chloe science signs, turning anatomy into playful games. Wesley introduced Serene to his love for building, which soon evolved into all three of them constructing elaborate blanket forts across the living room. They created signs that belonged only to them. A flick of fingers meant Pancake Saturday. 2 cupped hands meant Butterfly Friend, Chloe's secret name for Serene. And once, after weeks of shared dinners and laughter, Wesley signed something new. Our Person. It was a sign he used for Chloe and for Serene. 3 months after that first meeting, Wesley was driving Serene home from dinner. The air between them was filled with unspoken words, the kind that pressed at the edges of silence. Halfway to her apartment, she suddenly whispered, "Pull over." Concern flashed across his face as he guided the car into an empty parking lot. "Are you okay? Did I—" She silenced him with a kiss. Gentle at first, then deeper, a floodgate finally opening. When they broke apart, her voice was breathless. "I love you. I've been wanting to say it for weeks, but I was scared. Scared I was imagining things. That maybe you were just being kind." Wesley's reply was wordless. He kissed her again, then signed deliberately, every movement clear in the glow of the streetlight. "I love you too. Not because you need someone to defend you. You don't. Not because Chloe adores you, though she does completely. I love you because you see the world the way we do. You've shown me that we're not broken, just waiting to be complete." 6 months later, on a sunny September afternoon, Wesley led Serene back to the Bluebird Cafe, the place where it all began. But this time, the tables were filled with family and friends, and Chloe stood proudly at his side, holding a hand-painted sign. Wesley dropped to one knee. His hands moved steadily, his voice soft but certain. "You've taught me that love doesn't need sound to be heard. Will you marry me?" Chloe lifted her sign high. "Say yes. I already picked my flower girl dress." Tears blurred Serene's vision. She signed back. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." The cafe erupted in applause, and in silent applause, hands raised and waving. The same place that had once been filled with cruelty was now overflowing with joy. Their wedding the following spring was unlike any other. Held in Burlington's waterfront park, The ceremony was bathed in sunshine and blossoms. Every vow, every blessing was both spoken and signed. Chloe, dressed in white and lace, signed a poem about family she had written herself. Wesley's vows drew tears from every guest. Serene, you walked into our lives when we thought we were complete. You didn't fill a void. You expanded our joy. You've taught Chloe that her differences are superpowers. You've taught me that silence holds the best conversations. You've shown us that family isn't about perfection, but choosing each other exactly as we are. Serene's vows were equally moving. Wesley, Chloe, you saved me the night I thought I wasn't enough. You showed me that the right people don't see my deafness as a burden, but as part of my story. You've given me a family that speaks my language, not just with hands, but with love. I promise to be yours with my voice, my silence, and every part of who I am. Guests later said there hadn't been a dry eye in the park. Even the children joined in silent applause, hands lifted to the sky as music played. For Serene, the vows weren't simply promises. They were proof that what began with rejection had become the most extraordinary chapter of her life. 5 years passed and the Bluebird Cafe still kept their corner booth. On anniversaries, the manager would smile knowingly. "Table for family?" she'd ask, and Wesley would answer with a grin. "Always." By then, the booth held not 3, but 4. Serene, Wesley, Chloe, and little Marcus, their 2-year-old who was already signing Cookie before he could speak. Life had grown fuller, louder, yet more peaceful. Wesley expanded his construction business, determined that every site be deaf-friendly, hiring workers who spoke sign language. Serene became the hospital's first deaf services coordinator, creating programs that made care accessible to all. Together, they co-founded a support group for parents of deaf children. What began with 5 families in Wesley's living room blossomed into a community of hundreds. At their gatherings in the park, children signed freely, parents shared stories, and no one felt alone in the journey. Chloe, now 11, stood tall before her 6th grade class one spring day, giving a presentation on heroes. She signed and spoke clearly, her pride radiant. Some think being deaf means something is missing, but in my family it gave us everything. My dad learned a new language for me. My mom, Serene, shows me that differences are superpowers. And together we help others see that hearing loss isn't the end of a story. It's just a new chapter. Her teacher later told Serene and Wesley that the classroom had been filled with tears and applause. Parents even called afterward, asking about sign language classes and the support group. Serene held Chloe that evening, whispering, "Your voice, in signs and in words, is stronger than any prejudice." Sometimes late at night after the children were asleep, Wesley and Serene sat together on the porch. Their hands spoke softly in the glow of the porch light. One evening, Wesley signed, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't stood up that night?" Serene paused, eyes glistening. "I would have gone home and cried, maybe given up on dating. I would have survived, but I wouldn't have lived, not like this." "And us?" he asked. She smiled with certainty. "We would have found each other anyway. Love like this always finds a way." The world came to know their story. The cafe even placed a plaque on their booth, where love speaks louder than words. But for Serene, the legacy wasn't headlines or support groups. It was her family. The laughter of Chloe teaching Marcus the sign for butterfly. The warmth of Wesley's hand in hers. The knowledge that one cruel rejection had led her to a life overflowing with acceptance. Her grandmother's words returned often. "Never let anyone make you feel less than whole. The right person will love you, including your differences, not despite them." Serene would look around her dinner table, at the family she thought she'd never have, and know the truth. She had been right all along to believe she deserved better. Because better wasn't just a man who signed for her in a cafe. Better was a family, a future, and a love that needed no sound to be heard.